this way and this way.
I'm leaving tomorrow in the morning. And I have a lot of things to do.
You're going on vacation?
Yeah, so I'm the absolute.
Hello, good. How are you?
Yeah. Mandana? Mandana?
No.
Yes. Mika, sorry.
She's not here among us, yeah.
Okay, Mika, Sylvia, and Carolyn.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
What is your name?
Carolyn.
Carolyn. Yeah. Carolyn.
Perfect. Okay.
We still have someone else.
We do not today. We had Patricia last week, yeah. But no, not today. Not today, it doesn't look like. What time is it? Oh, 10 on the nose. So we are good. Everyone ready to start?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't worry if you don't have to rush.
That's okay.
Yes, I have my 2 little cups of water.
I asked my husband, he was going to pick me up some little plastic things and look at them.
Nice.
Great.
Those are the cups my daughter used to take care of. I always have like all those applesauce things and whatnot, so I just use those. Okay, so this painting is freehand. We're not drawing anything. We are going to we're going to express ourselves. Thank you. Perfect. That's exactly what I was thinking. Yes.
Sorry, but we couldn't inspire ourselves from.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
drawings.
Absolutely. Whatever. If you don't like the layout, if you want to change the colors, if you want to add, subtract anything, by all means.
So we're not trying.
We're not drawing it. No, this is going to be very intuitive. But there's a rhyme and a reason. There's a rhyme and a reason, and I'll walk you through it. As well as I'd like to spend maybe like the first 10 minutes practicing our brush, getting used to how to use our brush, if you will. Because if you notice, and I'll do a demonstration on this, I'll take this away so it's easier to see. So to get the petals that I did, there's a couple of ways that you can do your flowers. The way that I chose to do my flowers, but that's just like the perspective of the flowers. What I want to focus on right now actually is how to do your petals. And this is going to practice your brush technique, if you will, which is something that is very intuitive and will come with practice. But I want you guys to really practice putting a lot of weight on your brush and then lifting off. So the way that I created these petals is I pressed down really hard, and then as I pulled, I lifted up. And can you see how I need more color on my brush? So I'm going to go through that again. I pressed really hard, and as I pulled, I lifted up. And can you see how the manipulation of the brush went from really thick to really thin, right? So if you press hard on your brush, the bristles fan out and then create a thicker line. And then when you pull away, they start getting thinner again. And then they create this like heavy to thin, really natural shape. So I do that twice, and that's how I get my petal. So I do it on one half and then the other. There's a few ways that you can create your flowers. So let me do the first one, and then I come over here. And I really want this to be natural. And if I'm going to show you, if you zoom in really close to this, you can see how messy my lines are. Up close, you can see how incomplete they look and how splotchy and inaccurate. Like, look at this section. What is that? Those are just a bunch of marks. But then once you like take it away, it creates something. So it's very impressionist, if you will. So what we are doing today is I really want you guys to find the beauty in the imperfection of watercolor. So I do one, I have two, I have a third one right here. Again, doing that, and then I have a fourth, and then you can add another one if you want to. So this is one way of doing a flower where you see it head on, right? So this is like looking directly at it. If you were to add a center, your center would be right there. The alternative way, the way that I've done it right here, is you are looking at the flower, like, so if this were my flower, right, you're kind of looking at it like this, right? So the perspective's gonna change, because if you look at a petal, and I'm using my hands for the petal, if you look at the petal, when it turns, the shape changes, and then you can see the back of it as well, right? So this is just me like showing you guys using my hand as an example of the petal. So as it turns, so if this is your like flower, as it turns and the petals turn, they get skinnier and then skinnier, and then even when they are coming from the front, you see it totally different. So I'll do a demonstration of that, trying to have this make sense to you, because I understand that if you haven't sat and really observed flowers, and you don't know what they're looking like, then it can be kind of difficult to wrap your head around. So the first one that I did was really thick, right? So that's my first one. That's the one you see that's facing you the most. And then the two on either side of it are thinner and a little more curved, because you're starting to see the sides of the petal now, right? And then the fourth one, so because it's like this, you're seeing the curve up, so you're not seeing a lot of it. It's gonna look flat. The way that I do that is I kind of create one line and then I bring it down a little bit. And then you can add another one here if you wanted to, and here, that's your choice. But if we are looking for the center of this one, it's actually going to be right there.
Are we supposed to be doing at the same time?
You can if you want to, or you can observe. Yeah, I appreciate that you like just watched the first time. But now let's do another one and I'll walk you guys through it. Which one would you guys like to do? Do you want to start with this one and then we can do this one as well? Does it matter?
You are the teacher.
Okay. That works. Okay, so I'm going to change my colors so that you guys can see a difference. And I'm going to start with this one.
What kind of brush are you using?
I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you so much for asking that question. I am using a number 8 round. So my medium brush, basically. Yes. Yeah. Yes, that's a perfect brush right there. So I'm changing to blue, and I really want you guys to just play right now with creating that petal shape. Flick your brush, you know, play around with it. The more you guys experiment with moving your brush around, the deeper of an understanding you'll have of how to move your brush and what kind of marks it can make, right?
On the right side, the top row on the right side. Could you show me again? Yeah,
This one?
yeah,
Yes.
very side. It's yeah.
Yeah, I can do a demonstration for sure. Okay, so I'm gonna do it down here in this corner. So I'm pressing down heavily with my brush and I'm kind of like turning it at the same time. And then I'm lifting it up.
Yeah, that is the left side, right? And the right side, top to the right side.
Are you talking about this one or this one? This one?
The top one.
The
yeah.
top one, yes.
Top one's right hand side. Yeah, next down there. Yeah, that one.
Okay.
The if
So I'm kind of just like freehanding it, honestly, yeah.
But make it smaller.
If you want to, yeah, it doesn't have to be like, nope, none of your flowers are gonna look exactly the same because working with your brush like this is so organic because you're allowing the brush to create the shape more than like, see, there's like a difference between if you were just to use the tip and like create your shape like this, you have a lot more control, but I find there's not as much life to it, right? So by doing it this way, you are really allowing the brush to kind of like create the shape for you, and you have a lot less control over it. So that's kind of what I'd like you guys to experiment today, is like giving up that perfection, that like it has to look perfect, and being okay with making mistakes. Does that make sense? Okay, perfect. Nice.
Well, my number 8 round is not as wide as yours is. Very narrow.
Can I pull out a brush for you?
Yeah, please do.
Awesome. Are you okay with having larger flowers?
I was trying to make larger petal flowers, but they only come out very thin like that.
Let's try this one.
Oh, okay.
But also, let's see this right here. Do you mind if I
No,
I'll try it?
absolutely. Go ahead. Anywhere.
Okay, this is, we're
That's
gonna,
also
this is
scrap.
gonna be your, practice sheet.
They're both.
Okay, perfect. So,
Oh,
yes.
if I did the side.
Okay, so watch, I'm going to put it down
Yeah.
and then I'm like kind of
Oh,
rolling it
banging it out a bit.
and then pulling it, right? Whereas if you were to do this brush, Nancy,
It holds a lot of.
it holds a lot of paint, yes. Try not to like eat up.
Oh, that's okay, I've got time.
So you kind of get a different shape
yes,
there,
there
which is
is.
interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're very welcome.
That's great.
Okay, yes, beautiful.
It's
Love it.
Cotman. But I mean, but I managed to be not exactly confused, but we didn't water.
So we didn't wet it first, no.
No,
No, because we want these shapes to stay together, because when we wet it, it spreads,
it's,
right?
like
So we
the
want-
sky.
Correct, we want to keep our shapes contained. Does that make sense? So we're not wetting first.
Okay,
Yes.
That's my art.
Okay.
Mine are like the coloring.
Yes, exactly, so you're using the tip of your brush, right? Yes, okay, so, can I do the demonstration, or do you mind? Okay.
That's a bigger brush.
I would probably say like, use the bigger brush on this,
Oh, okay,
so. We'll do one right here, okay?
all right.
So watch what happens, so I'll press down. And then I move it a little bit, and then pull it inwards. Needs to be whatever, so I press down, and then move it a little bit, and then pull up. Really get this really saturated. So I'm pulling down, pulling in.
Oh,
Put it out, and then pulling in. So I'm not, see how there's a difference? Yeah, you're drawing right here, which there's nothing wrong with that, but for this exercise, I really want us to like. Experiment with your brush, so like flick it, what happens even if you do one of these things and you just like, oh, sorry.
But okay,
But
I
like-
get what you.
Yes,
I do.
see how this is much more alive than this?
Yes.
Yes, so that's what I'm trying to.
Okay,
I want, I'm trying to break you guys out of like your, coloring in the lines and like really experiment with, allowing the brush to create the work for you, kind of thing, releasing that control from perfectionism and just like
okay.
allowing it, yeah, gorgeous.
Only I'd like to ask, because I haven't done to observe, to notice. When you, for the rotated one,
Yes.
you have to wait a little bit for the, to dry.
Would you like a demonstration?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'm gonna use this guy, I
And
like this guy,
it,
calling my name.
it was yellow, but
Okay.
it's in.
Just yellow. Fine. So I'm going to do my first one that you can see. That's gonna face you, and since this is a smaller brush, I am.
Okay,
First one, and then the second one is going to be a little smaller and a little bit curved. See, because now the petals are starting to turn a little bit.
yeah,
So then my last one is going to be more of a drawing. The last one's gonna be more of the drawing process where you use the tip of your brush.
okay,
So I'm kind of just going up and then over, and then it's coming in and going out.
okay.
Does that make sense? How that looks?
I have to experiment.
Yes.
I'll tell you if it makes sense or not. Yeah. So, yeah, we do have a bit of program. I don't have an 8, so.
Oh, but yours are beautiful though. It's flat, so it's flat because you're looking at it like this.
Yes, I
Right?
have to try.
Okay, yeah, go for
I use another color.
it.
Well,
Yeah.
I the first one. Oh, sorry.
For the rotated one,
Okay, yeah, practice, absolutely.
I understand the first one is a
Yes.
that, and the,
Ah,
and this one is the. Right there.
yeah, this is beautiful.
But this time,
So then it gets a little skinnier and they are a little more curved, right?
so it's like a little bit of a, instead of fully pushing.
Yes, yeah, it's more of the side, so like only one time.
Okay, so it's like that.
Yeah, it's just more open, right? It's more of an open flower that you have.
Oh,
So try the other side and then we'll see if it needs to be filled in or not.
no. Okay.
Yeah, just try the other side. This doesn't have to be perfect, right? This is just test.
okay.
Gorgeous.
So it's, this part is darker, this part is light, it's in general,
Yeah, I think so.
or something, it doesn't.
Yes. Yes. So then the last one,
Just, yeah.
your paper is so pretty, I don't really know.
No, so that we're using the practice.
So the last one is more Right.
So you did the, like, this one, right?
Yes.
And,
But you need this like,
oh,
it dips down in the middle of it.
oh,
Yeah,
and this one is the, they did it done too.
yeah, I can go down to, yep. And then, so that just looks like a very open flower. And then, so if you wanted to find the center, it would probably be
Yeah.
right there. I'm just scoring your paper a bit. And it's gonna do it itself. Yeah, see, but I can kind of see that would be the center of your flower. So you can go in and you can close these shapes more if you want. It's your choice, but like every flower is different, right? So, yeah, we're just playing around right now.
May I ask you something else? The petals in front, on the first,
First flower?
vision.
Yes.
No. That one with the round
Yeah, that's good.
petal and it's behind,
Yes,
the second plan.
yes,
And
yes. So the ones on the side are gonna be in front. of the-
And they are not, yeah, and they are not, the color is not, it's stronger,
Well, the first
not too
layer,
late.
right, the first layer is going to be the same color. The first layer is the same color, but once it was dry, I went in and added in darker details to really like. Yes, this was done in a few layers. Thank you, thank you.
And you didn't make a sketch
Nope,
with,
I just freehanded this whole thing.
yes, but you are professional.
Yeah, but I'm going to walk you guys through it, so
Okay.
don't worry. I'm not gonna leave you guys alone. Nice,
This one's better,
yes,
getting,
you're starting to get there, yes.
still looking at this one. Much better.
Yeah. 20 years of experience.
Well, it's the free hand.
Yes, so again, I'm just going to, and then as I am pulling away, I am lifting up on my brush again, a lot as well. So again, so just stand in, and then I will pull away, and lift it up. And then out. Lift it up. See? And none of them are going to ever look exactly. the same.
Yeah.
And I so much the perimeter,
The center?
yeah,
Oh,
not the center, the contour.
oh, yes,
It's when it's dry,
yes.
it's like,
The like really nice dark contour? Yeah, it's nice. Nice, you're getting better.
I just wanted to ask, when you do your thing and then to lift it up, you just lift it up very quickly?
Yep, I can either like do a flip. Can I show you?
Yeah.
Do you mind?
Not at all.
Let's do this. So I kind of flick it up and then, yep, I just kind of flick it up. Yep. So again, and then flick it up.
You really better.
Can I see that drawing? That's what I'm saying. Yeah, yes, yes, that one.
No problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And Carolyn asked a really good question for a demonstration as well. When I press down, I almost flick it up super fast, like ridiculously fast, and it gives me these like really nice clean points. Whereas these ones were done a lot slower, right? So these ones are done a lot slower, and you can you see like the difference of like the different feel for a plant? All right, I'll be right back. I accidentally dirtied both my waters. Nice. Those look great. They're getting there though.
They're better than that, yes.
Hi, Patricia. Welcome in. We are doing flowers today. So at the beginning, we are just playing with our brush weight. So I'm going to go with a yellow this time. So I'm creating flowers by rolling my brush and then like kind of flicking it up. Again, I'm rolling my brush and then like flicking it up. And we are just playing with various brush techniques. What's fun is with your test. Oh, this looks gorgeous.
Yeah, just.
You're really starting to understand it.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. Yes. Look at the difference.
Oh, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, I think the brush is.
What's interesting is if like with your practice sheet, if you start layering them over top of each other, you kind of start getting this beautiful image in and of itself. And then if you started adding just green for like some leaves here and there, if you're just to like add some leaves. It almost creates a painting in and of itself. Nice. You're starting to get it. Look how good that is, though.
We'll see.
No, that looks incredible. Oh, this one's so pretty. Nicely done.
I have no idea if I have to wait a little bit for the first one to get dry.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because otherwise it's melted.
Yeah, it does totally lose its definition, yes. If you don't wait. It's perfect though. Whatever works for you, whatever you like best.
I have to learn first and like that after that. I have to try different
Absolutely.
methods.
Yes. I love that you're experimenting freely. Oh, they're so organic now. Nicely
Yeah.
done.
See, the thing is, I keep trying to go in and paint them like those, but I mean, when you're not an artist.
Yeah, but they're getting like these two petals are so well done.
Oh,
Yeah. I would almost ask you to create petals in maximum 2 strokes and then don't go in and touch them after that. Yeah. Well, for yours are very natural looking. So like you keep going the way that you've been going. This one is very, very successful.
You're right, this is not bad.
No.
The
Yep.
first one. I like the-
They're all really good though.
Sorry?
Your whole thing looks great. If you put this background green, it would look like you're staring down into a field of flowers.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is what I wanted to do now. To add some leaves.
Yes. I'm super proud of you guys. You guys are like not shying away from like trying out not being perfect, which is for some of my students very difficult. Yep.
Yesterday or the day before yesterday, I have watched a movie. And I have noticed that even the sculpture they draw on the big
Yep.
piece of stone or marble or whatever. The line is kind of time
Yeah.
to follow their. Oh, it's so beautiful.
Sometimes though, it can I have seen with some of my students that it almost becomes a handicap because they rely so heavily on it that if it's not absolutely perfect, they are not happy with it. So since you guys are all like blank canvases at this point, I'm like, yeah, let's start off strong and see if I can convince you guys not to, become hyper focused on your perfectionist.
I think I always like professional art, so I like this kind of.
Amazing.
But you see a lot of watercolors, they try to go for emulating reality,
Yep.
looking at, it looks like a photograph.
Yes.
Well, I can admire it. And
Right. And you know what? All the artwork that I've seen from my students, the ones I always like the most is the ones that are like messier, but have so much movement in them. And those are the ones that they don't like at all. And I'm like, these are the ones I love. Or like the like natural blooms that you get with watercolor. They're like, how do I fix this? And I'm like, what do you need to fix? It's beautiful. So I just added green background and boom, I have a whole finished painting.
How did you go with the green?
Super messy. So
Do you have painting? Do you have a technique, or is that the same technique that you follow?
nope, I kind of just fill in and then allow it. There's a couple layers here. So I did the darker one first and then I allowed that to dry. And then I went over and like messed it up a little bit more.
Mess it up is good thing.
Sometimes it is. Absolutely. And like I said the first time, art is one of the only safe places you have to make mistakes and not end up with negative consequences. You know, the consequence is that sure, you make a mistake, but you also learn something important from that mistake. And it's fun and it's relaxing. Yes. So what do we think? Do we want to actually start doing the painting now? You just want to keep doing this? Okay, go ahead. Yep. Oh, my pleasure. This is one of my greatest joys. I love teaching.
And I would like to tell you something. I have been a teacher for 14 years. Of architecture,
Okay.
interior design, and furniture. And I am a mother, but I could tell you something. The greatest satisfaction I have with my students.
Yep.
For them, I was something like a goddess. My children are not.
Ain't that the truth? I want to point you this. See how this yellow overlaps all these?
Yeah.
There is beauty in that. I will ask you, instead of trying
Trying
to
to get-
fill in the blanks,
Do it on top.
do it on top.
Okay, all
Nice.
right.
Yeah, especially this line here. What is that? Get rid of that. Nice.
I'm not sure what I'm doing, but it's okay.
No worries. Would you like a demonstration? I will give everyone a demonstration since I have another beautiful sheet of paper. Oh, I got this. And I'll have everyone see this one. So in order to do these plants, leaves, thank you. My brain blanked out. Okay, so I'm going to mix a little bit of a nicer green because sap green for me is a little flat and boring. So the way that I did that was I pressed very lightly for the stem. A lot of times you will see me putting down my pinky and like using that to hold the weight of my hand so that I can have a lot of control over how much or how little weight I put on my brush. So very thin, going up. And then for these leaves, I kind of just pressed and flicked a little bit. The key is that the top leaf is fine. It can go in whatever direction you want. But then so I'm pulling away thin and then going thick and then pulling up. So thin, thick, pulling up. Once you get the angle of these sideways, they have to remain on that same angle for it to not look funky. So again, you're going to flick and go up. Just try to keep that same angle. And I like to alternate. Like I don't like them coming out at the same position. I kind of like it when they're like offset a little bit. So then flicking up and then flicking up. And see how they're still, like they're not perfectly on the same angle, but they're close. Whereas if I were to do one over here, right? So then I have my thick guy, and then I'm going to do this one, and then this guy's going to come out here, and see how that's like a lot less natural when it's just flat. So because all plants reach towards the sun, right? So they're all going to angle.
So with the flowers, you start with the outer petal in, but the leaves you start
Stem out.
stem out.
That's how I personally do it. Thank you. Again, take what works for you, whatever doesn't, throw it away.
Mine.
Mine-
Do your leaves and your stems, like if you're doing a thing with flowers, do you do that first? And
Nope.
then layer your flowers on. Like, so how do you?
So the way that I did this one, the way I did this one is I did these 3 flowers first,
Right.
and then I allowed it to dry. And then once that was dry, because if you bump wet on up to wet, they're gonna flow into each other. So if I didn't wait for these to dry and then added like my green, then the green would flow into the purple and the purple would flow into the green. Does that make sense? So I had to have all these dry. And then I did like this lime green very lightly. And that was really messy because it's my background. And then while that dried, I went in and added in these center bits. And then once that was dry, I went in and did my dark green colors. And then as I waited for that to dry, I went in with a second or third layer of the dark original flower color and dry brushed in the details that like separate the petals and whatever. And then the last thing I did was I added in these blobs of flowers. Yep.
It's the sequence that I.
Yes.
That's important. So you how about lots of waiting time?
You can, but there's also like you can work on other things while you're waiting for very specific parts of your painting to dry. And that understanding has become automatic to me because of the fact that I'm like so used to it. So that's one of the benefits of being taught by an expert is that you can, I will take a lot of the thinking out of that process so that it's not so heavy on your working memory, and then you can free up to kind of figure it out, like focus on the other aspects of painting, if that makes sense. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, like for those of you who drive, do you like, are you conscious about like, I have to press the gas pedal, I have to press the, it becomes automatic. So a lot of these skills and strategies and techniques that I have are like now automatic. So my challenge is to take away some of that cognitive load to free you up to really learn specific skills at a time, right? And right now what I want you guys to learn is brush technique. Nice. This is, yeah, it's coming along really well. You almost have to like push through that. That is gorgeous.
Yeah.
That is beautiful.
But I have to try all the colors. So
I understand.
if I need the lighter, not lighter, darker, I have to mix it something, or I don't know.
Yes.
I'm going to do.
But when it comes to the actual painting, I will walk you through mixing colors and everything as well. So you're not, I'm going to hold your hand. No worries. You're welcome. I like that you started mixing your Viridian green with your sap green. I find you often, it becomes a much less flat color. A lot more life into it.
Some vibration.
Yes, exactly.
Anyhow, it's a little bit difficult because usually I read with my spectacles.
Yes.
But because I have to watch the motors.
Okay. Yes, the monitor. Yeah. So you have to remove it. Okay, I understand.
No,
But then you get like a nice big surprise when you put your spectacles back on and you're like, oh wow, that actually looks good.
no, it's okay because it's not so small. But,
I love the texture you have going on here. That's very nice. This in and of itself is like a work of art.
It's so messy.
I love it though.
It's hard to read.
That's fair.
There's a lot of
Yeah. You guys will come to understand that the messier your works are, the more I love them.
I'm just practicing.
Amazing, yeah. And like, look at the difference between having a really wet brush
Yes.
and having a slightly dry brush.
Yeah.
You get some really interesting effects from that. That's a dry brush technique. So whenever you have like, yeah, whenever it looks like really rough, that's a dry brush technique specifically. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys another 10 minutes to work on these, and then we're gonna go into creating this piece, all right? Clever. Yep.
Yeah, this one is very good also,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not so special for watercolor.
Yes.
I have it in my house when you learn to do it.
Right? Yes. Anyone who comes to me asking for advice on materials, I'm like, if you're on a budget, spend your money on your paper. You can use dollar store paints, you can use dollar store brushes, but if you get subpar material, your painting is never going to turn out decently. It's always the paper. That's where you want to spend your money. Yep. Well, you have a one-on-one relationship with that knowledge now. This is gorgeous. This reminds me of like artisanal paper.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. I love your brushes. There's so much character in the brushes, in your brushes themselves, because they're like all taped up and stuff. It's so fun. Yeah. And I also want you guys to notice how if your leaf doesn't come right out of the stem, if it overlaps the stem a little bit, it just looks like it's in front, right? So no pressure to have them perfectly come out. So like as an example, that leaf looks a little bit weird, right? But then if I take it and I bring it down like that, all of a sudden it looks like it's coming out from in front of the stem, right? Does that make sense?
Bamboo.
Yeah.
The,
Yes, exactly.
What makes it even darker?
I tend to darken up, like as I go forward, I tend to add darker and darker. Yeah, because watercolor, you have to really work light to dark. You can't work dark to light. It doesn't work. It's not like oils. Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. You have you look great.
Okay,
You're welcome.
trying. Like these, two shades of green.
Could you mix them together?
I was trying that, and I added some yellow.
Oh, nice.
to
Okay.
make this
Yeah, that's a nice color.
better.
Yeah, I tend my Viridian green is like it's barely touched. I
That's
just
a nice color.
it is. It's just if you are painting a lot of plants, it's not a very natural color, I find. Yeah. I tend to mix it with sap green if I'm going to really do it properly. Yeah, it's true. It will get easier with practice, promise. It will. The beginning's always hard because there's so much information that you're trying to learn all at once. Always. I wish I could stay in school for the rest of my life.
Oh.
Yeah. This one?
The background, no.
This one?
Very right, yeah.
I did the dark green first and then I let that dry. And then I went over top of it with a lighter green. Yeah. You can go the opposite way. That's just the way I did it.
Did you wet or you don't wet?
I went wet brush, very wet brush, dry paper. Yes. Because I was specifically looking for these the blooms and like these hard edges. I was like intentionally going for that. Whereas if I didn't want these like really rough edges right here, I would go in like right here is a very good example of the hard edges I'm talking about. I would go in and wet it all first, evenly, and then go in with my green. Does that make sense? So, yes, I will go with you right after. So see how there is a very distinctive line right here?
Yeah.
That's because this was dry, and then this was wet, and then this was wet, and they dried at different times.
I see.
So whenever pieces of your painting dry at a different rate, then they're always going to create these kind of effects right here,
Okay.
right?
So that was intentional.
That was intentional. Yes. If I wanted a very smooth, consistent background where it was like all the same, I would have wet the whole thing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
But
Oh, yes, this flower looks good. And then the like darker details you put into it, yeah, like I added in a second layer, really works out really nicely.
I do draw with pencils.
Okay, perfect.
I know, but it's
So you have a foundation to build on. Perfect.
actually.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's actually my money.
I love that this is white
Yeah.
and that this stops that line. I wouldn't put anything there.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful.
I don't.
These are looking good, guys. I think we're ready. Awesome. Nope.
I'm having fun.
Good.
Yes.
But you're also learning so
Yes.
much.
Yes.
You might not be consciously aware of it, but you are learning a ton right now. I'm going back to school for education. So the class that I'm taking right now is psychology education. So like I have a lot of that information now of like what the learning processes are and like how teaching works kind of thing. And how you're not always conscious of it, but you're still learning something.
I don't remember exactly, but last time
Mhm.
you told us about this new classes you have. But I don't know why I was thinking at the time that it's a kind of healing.
Okay, because I want my end goal is art therapy. Yeah, but I need to get a bachelor's before I can enter the master's program. So I'm currently doing my bachelor's in art education. Yeah. And I'm falling in love with it so much that I'm like, do I want to go into art therapy or do I want to become an actual teacher? Yeah, absolutely. And the master's is a 2-year program. So if I get bored one day of teaching, I could always go back.
Each day you have courses each day or
No, I don't have classes on Fridays and Wednesdays.
oh, so
Yeah.
3 times a week.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So it works. And I get to teach you guys. I get to make money on the side, which is nice.
All these you have to pay, I imagine, for the master. The card.
Yeah, but Quebec is really good to its citizens with like education kind of thing. So also because I have a dependent. So my school is about $5,000 each year for tuition. But because I have a dependent, the government grants me about $25,000 for the whole year. And then I only have to pay back like 4,000 of that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So they're actually like, if you're a citizen of Quebec, the incentives are there to go back to school. Yeah.
But not at over 70 years old.
But what?
Over 70 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, do you know that yes. You have not so many cards, at least that one here. Because it's so close
To where you live?
yeah.
Yeah.
Here, next corner.
Right. Oh, you can always like call and ask.
Yeah. Anyhow, I think this class is, I have you. They're very good.
Thank you.
I could enjoy learning myself after you gave us
Oh, thank
the
you.
reason.
Yes, exactly. You will be able to build on the skills that we learn here, take them home, and continue to build your skills. And honestly, the way that I did that was I just painted. That's it. And it was enjoyable. And I learned. I did like one of these classes.
Oh,
Beautiful. I love it.
anyhow, I like it very much. Oh, very much. This is something I have. I don't know how I did it.
That you can send it as gift a card, you know, the Christmas card or
Yep.
whatever the card.
Yeah.
Print it. I'm going for the real one.
Okay, yes, let's prepare for the real one.
So,
It reminds me of artisanal paper. Or like it would be a beautiful wallpaper pattern. I love the way that this looks. You like did it over top of it? Yeah, that's beautiful. And your grasses are very precise and very nice. Yeah.
I'm not happy with the shape, but
No, I really like them.
I did experiment to have it one night.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. You could even go darker and darker and darker and then fill this up so much that it just looks like a grass painting. And they will be so much to look at. All right. So I'm going to ask everyone to prepare and we can start working on this guy. We probably won't finish it today since we spent an hour kind of playing around. Is that okay? That's okay with everybody? Okay, perfect. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean my palette so that I can mix the 3 colors of my flowers. Ah. Oh. Okay. Okay, so you guys don't have to follow the exact colors as me, but I ask you to pick one primary color and one secondary color that you can make from that primary color. So for me, I chose my alizarin crimson, which is a red, as my primary color, and then my blue, and then my purple as my secondary color, right? So I used alizarin crimson with ultramarine blue. Other options would be a red, like a cold red, so like cadmium red would work with your yellow, so like a yellow ochre, and then you could create an orange. So your primary color would be the red or the yellow, and then your secondary color would be the orange. Because what I did was I did one primary color, and then I did a really dark secondary color. So this is my purple. And then I chose a medium in between the two. Does that make sense? Okay, perfect. So you can choose whatever colors you want, but it has to be one primary color and then one secondary color created with that primary color. Does that make sense? Or you, okay. So you're going to do a primary color, so either a red, a yellow, or a blue. Yeah. I might actually go with oranges and yellows because I already did this one and I want to kind of see what it would look like. So if you picked blue as your primary color, you can go with purple as your secondary color. You can also do red as your primary color and purple as your secondary color. I would stay away from green because the green is this, right? Or you could do yellow as your primary color and orange as your secondary color. Does that make sense? You have 3 options. So let's see. This would be your primary color. I'm going to do primary colors right now. And then you have this. And then say this. These are like the options for this color, this paint right here. And then I'm going to mix a purple because I'm going to need it anyways. So this could be your secondary color, secondary color. Secondary color. It's an ugly orange, but yes. So then what you're going to do is you're going to go in. So this is your primary color, secondary color, and then middle color. Is it making sense? Kind of? Yeah? Okay. So I think I want to change it up a little bit. I don't want to go with this, but I think I want to go with my blues. So I think I'm going to do this a blue flower, this a really dark purple flower, and then this in the middle. Does that make sense? Okay. So that being said, let's mix our colors. So the first one I'm taking is my ultramarine blue. That's going to be my base color. And then over here, I'm going to mix a really dark purple, like way more blue than red. That looks good. I'm going to add a little bit more blue to this one. All right, I'm happy with these 3 colors. So I have my primary color, my secondary color, and then the one that's in between the 2. Does that make sense? Yeah. Correct. Mine is, yes. Yeah. I would say that your primary color should be an unmixed color.
Okay. And the secondary one can be a mix, but then the other.
Correct, but it has to include your primary color.
So one is what was the
It's the same mixture, but less. So I have a very strong blue purple. This one is more of a red purple. Does that make sense? Have random hairs in the palette. Are you ready to continue? Yeah. Okay. So then what I'm going to do is I am going to start with my secondary color, because if I started with my primary color, I run the chance of like spreading it, right? So I always like to work from the left to the right, because then if I touch my paper, I don't have to worry. I have to worry less about smearing my work. Does that make sense? Yep, things to keep in mind. Okay, so I'm wetting my brush and then I'm picking up my secondary color, the dark secondary color. And then I'm gonna go about an inch away from the side and kind of like in the center. And I'm gonna do my front facing petal. Good enough. And again, purposefully not perfect. Nice. You could even go 2 primaries and then 1 secondary if you wanted to. Perfect. So then we're going to go from there. I'm going to come out, and this is going to be the start of like the side petals, right? And I'm going to do that on the other side as well. To make them a little thicker if you want to. And then I have this front facing petal, which is going to look kind of weird until we go in with the second layer. So I'm just going to go over top of that and then come down a bit. And that's it. They also don't have to look this way. They can 100% look like this if you want to. They don't have to be they don't have to be from 3/4 view. They can be from front view as well, if you wanted to. I would say your goal is less to have a flower that looks exactly like mine, and more of a flower that makes sense to you and that you can accomplish. Does that make sense? Okay, perfect. You're welcome. So then once you have that first flower, now I'm going to go to my primary color, which is going to be my blue. And I'm actually going to start with this front petal because it'll help me gauge how far away from the other flower it is. Does that make sense? So I'm now going to go with this front petal because it's the closest to this one, and that will help me gauge like the distance between the 2 flowers. So I'm going to go right here probably, let's say there. Nose and down. So that's the front petal for me. And then now that I have that front petal, I'm gonna go into my big petal, the one that faces me. Nice. It's a beautiful flower. Hey, coming on. Push through it. Push through it. I promise it'll look good. Okay, I see you because your process is like you let things dry. These are gorgeous. Nice. I love your technique. It's really improved, yes. Nice. Yeah, if you need to turn your board, feel free to turn your board. Yeah, that's an option. I do that all the time when I'm not filming. Yeah, I'm like constantly rotating my painting. Absolutely. Yeah. I tend to purchase for my own personal paintings when I was painting watercolor blocks. So like Arches watercolor blocks, which is like it's like 20 papers glued together, so it's like one solid block. And then you don't have to worry about like taping it and stuff, and you can kind of turn it however you want. And then when you're finished with the painting, you take like an X-Acto knife and cut it off and to get to the next layer. So that was my preferred way of doing it. So then once you have your two, you can go for the middle one as well. And just like that first one, I'm starting with that bottom leaf or petal so that I know how far away from the other two flowers I need to be. And then you can go in and do the other ones.
I don't think it's gorgeous.
The harmony.
That I saw, but
Your flowers themselves?
this one,
That's okay. The nice thing about flowers is that if you're missing a few petals, it's just like they fell off.
Thank you.
I love them though. I think they're very successful. This one just looks like it's less open. It looks like it's young. It's a young flower. Mm. I love how much better they get with time. Yeah, they're just improving. That's awesome. Yes. Yes, you can. Once you know how. So if you guys are at a waiting stage, the next step I would do would be mix this yellowish green color. So I combined my sap green with my cadmium yellow. So I combined my kind of swampy, like olive green with my sunshiny yellow. So I'm dipping my paint into my clean water because when I pick up from my palette, I like to make sure my brush is clean. So then what I'm gonna do, if your flowers are still wet, do not bump this new paint against the wet petals, okay? We're gonna leave a space because we can always go in afterwards. Since this is so messy, since this is very loose, we can go in again, okay? It doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm going to pick this up and I'm just going to kind of add in a random shape in the middle. Doesn't have to be perfect. It can be whatever you want it to be. Again, if your petals are still wet, do not bump them up, okay? And that's too dark for my liking, so I'm going to pick up some of this color. There you go. That's nicer. And then from there, we're going to go out with our leaves. So the first ones I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go like out from between these three, like where these gaps are. So I'll have one here, here, and here. And then I'm probably gonna go like off center again. So here, here, and here. So we'll start with from between all of these. Yeah, so I'm gonna go out here. And again, we're gonna do some of those leaves coming out. Doesn't have to be perfect because these are background leaves. Just kind of make sure that you continue that angle that you originally started with. Yeah, thank you. And you don't have to love them because they are just going to be in the background. We are going to cover these up. Yep, exactly. Oh, this one's so pretty. I love it. Oh, these are gorgeous. Yes, nice. Nice color.
Wow.
You don't like it?
I want it to be more like yours, but
Let's mix a little bit of blue in there.
okay.
Like, so yeah, take some of that blue and mix it in right here. There you go.
Yes, but I have to send brown also.
Perfect. That's awesome. There you go. That's a nicer color. You like it better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Nice. Don't be afraid to get messy in the center either.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Okay, so my first ones are done. Now I'm going to go in for the in-between ones. So I'm grabbing some of that. And for this one, I'm going to have it be closer to this guy, just because I like to create unevenness in my painting. Symmetry tends to, unless I'm purposefully going for it, especially if I'm working with natural items, symmetry is so not natural. Nope, same color. Yep. Yeah, I think I just had more on my brush unintentionally, but that's okay.
Another branch.
Yep. So now we're kind of going in between them. So I'm going to do one here, I'm going to do another one here, and another one here. I'm just offsetting them so they're not exactly in the center. Oh. Nice. Man, all of you are doing a really good job. Are you guys sure you need me? Beautiful. I really like you added in like this waviness that I haven't added in, and that's really nice.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Oh,
Very,
it's so gorgeous.
very wanting to see what we could do.
Absolutely.
Well, last week I was so inspired that during the, what do you call it, during the pandemic, I ordered a paint by number.
Oh,
But
nice.
I never did it
Okay.
because whatever. And I was inspired last week. I pulled it out and I said, okay, now I've got to do it. So,
Amazing. Since yours, you have so much space here, I would go in and add another one here, like another one here. Like don't evenly fill in the space, but feel free to continue to fill some space. I really like that yours is offset.
Too
No, I love that about it. Yeah. Yes. I love the asymmetry of it. Wow. Your leaves are like perfect. You have like a really strong understanding of like the pressure to add to your brush. From my perspective, you definitely do.
take the compliment.
Accept my compliment. I'm that friend. I bully all my friends to accept my compliments. What don't you like about it?
Well, like there's like, two going out in the usual.
Okay.
Like one that undone.
You want to unbalance it?
Yeah.
Okay. I think adding one here might help make it wider.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Again, we are going. Oh, my phone is almost dead. Whoops. No worries. Again, we are going to be adding, this is only the base layer, guys. Like you can barely see my base layer here. So we are going to be filling this out with a lot of additional foliage. The extension cord attached to the dishwasher looks like it's finished. Could I take that extension cord and plug my phone into it? Okay, gotcha. Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, I need to charge my phone. Good. Okay, I can do it. It's no problem. Yeah, I got it. Actually, I think I'm gonna pick this one because it's less bulky than that. That's okay? Okay, cool. Thank you. Woo. Thank you. phone is. Very, very nice. Okay, if anybody walks here, please be aware there's an extension cord. Okay. So the next thing that I'm gonna do is, now that I wait for my foliage to dry, we're gonna go in and do the centers of these flowers.
Okay.
So what I'm doing is I am going to take my black and create a Payne's gray. So I'm gonna mix my black with my ultramarine blue until I get like a really gray dark blue. So I don't need a lot of it, so I'm only mixing a little bit. But if you have a Payne's gray, go for it. And I want this to be I'm switching to a small brush now that my color's mixed, I'm switching to my smallest brush. And I'm picking up like a lot of that color. And I'm going to go in and I'm starting to make little dots. And then I'm going to slowly make my center bigger and bigger, just with little tiny dots. Some of the other ones I don't. Just the tip of my brush. And I've switched to a very small brush. And I'm just creating little dots. If you're happy with the size of your dots, continue with it. So I'm clustering my dots together to create this like nice, realistic-ish kind of looking center. Does that make sense? So I am going to just go over my light green because I'm never going to need it again. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna waste that. And then I am combining it with my ultramarine blue. Until I get a nice foresty green. Depending on how much I add, I might have to continue to add it, or like this, it's perfect the first time, just from sheer luck. So we've just mixed our green with ultramarine blue to create like a richer, darker green. Yeah, if you want it to be a little more natural, you could add a little bit of red to it.
This red?
Should probably
Add this to it.
Okay, so now I'm switching to a number 4 brush. So like a slightly smaller one. Because these are going to be a lot smaller and a lot more detailed, right? First thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to grab a little bit of my color, not a whole lot, like I'm going off to the edge. And I'm going to just kind of start creating some random like leaf shapes. Oh, that's even too dark. I want it to be more like hints of it. We're just creating some like shadows, if you will, of leaves. The more layers we add into this, the more natural it's gonna look. So more like hints. They don't have to be perfect. Kind of, like you barely see them, and that's what I'm going for. You want this color, okay, so then add a little bit of this. Nice, okay, yes. That's okay. We can start going over then once your areas are like dry, because we worked fairly dry with this because they were very light, then you can start adding in some much darker colors in various shapes. Yes, so like I'm gonna come in, oh, that was a little wet, that's okay. So I come in here and I'm gonna do. Building up our colors. So like these shapes, the shape is a little different. I'm gonna go over here and do it. It like comes out, right? And it's super thin. Very thin. And it is a lot more like a tree where there's like very thin branches that come off of it. And then from those branches, they even start spreading. Then the leaves are like really round. Does that make sense? How familiar I am with that, sure.
Most. Jeez. Then so I could. Right.
I really like, especially when is you can drive an hour to an hour and a half, and you're in the middle of it. Exactly.
Which-
There's such a wild difference to
From
me where,
Ontario?
yeah, where I was living. Any really heavily populated areas at least like 4 hours. Exactly.
Exactly. That's what it's crowded.
Yeah, very.
Thank you, Patricia, for joining us.
14 people. Oh, you're talking.
Oh, we still have 8 minutes, so.
Or, sorry.
Yes, and so there were 14 and went to the class and people were just concentrating, you know, you take your pin off. Here, you know, you're concentrating on your work and everybody was very encouraging. Very nice. Some about the color theory. Different colors. Different colors, you know. So, and again, in terms of time, too, you know, if you're on a budget, you know, yeah. Cheaper. Yeah. And then, but she wanted us to see the difference between, you know, art and paint. You know,
Yeah. Absolutely. We tried that. Arches is my preferred. Yeah. You can actually buy. You get it up there. All right.
Thank you, Patricia. See you next week.